Quiet on the set. Here we go. Five, four, three, two, one. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Not so retired after all, I guess. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt, where we talk about anything and everything that's come across our genea-desks since last we met. And I am really glad to have internet and power. It's storms have been crazy. Hillary, you mentioned you were having trouble staying connected to Zoom. Was a power brownout or something?
Yeah, I was in the middle of watching a Zoom webinar,
Oh,
and the power started flickering, and that because there's been a storm. I can't remember what it's called.
yeah,
Uh, Coming, and some parts of the west coast were badly affected. We're not quite on the west coast, but
yeah.
were north. Um, we were in the slightly less affected area, but some people have lost power and may have only just been reconnected today. And this was from
Mm.
Saturday.
Well, I'm glad you're here today because I got a lot of quilting done and a lot of decorating for Christmas. I missed you all last week desperately. In a few minutes, we're going to do a round robin. Jill has suggested it. She'll be here a little bit later with our best tips. We're also going to talk about what we're going to do in 2025. And we've got a full lineup of topics. I don't know how we're going to get them all done, but Randy is telling us it's coolish and happy holidays. And what gifts would you ask for? Oh, yes, we'll bring those kind of comments up. Yes, this is our last session for the year. Thanks for bringing that up, Hillary. I am flying out with Mr. Myrt on Saturday because a grandson is getting married. And he's getting married on a Tuesday because it's the winter break between the two universities that they're attending, although she's consolidating, coming to his university. And yeah, they want to have the wedding when all their best friends are there. So kind of cool, exciting time. And I will be back. Our next Mondays with Myrt is January 6th. It's already on the docket. You already see it as a scheduled live over there on the YouTube. And thanks to Sherry over there on the YouTube side for keeping you guys in line. Okay. And yes, there's our Sherry girl. And let's see. Karen is saying, Santa, please tell who are the parents of her second great grandfather with all the documentation and sources to prove that ancestry? Yeah, we don't want a hypothesis. We want the absolute truth. Wrapped up in a bow. She didn't specify what color bow, but yeah, I get it. All right. And Valerie says, hi, it's sunny, but I imagine it's a tad bit cold up there. And Valerie, you'll be glad to hear, you know what our study groups were like. We've got something up our sleeves akin to a study group in in the works for 2025. Um, there we go. Let's see. And Karen here, God, she's just down I-5 from me in Arlington. Good morning. And my study group or my writing accountability partner, good morning from Gray, Spokane. I woke up and looked out our window wall across the channel, and Cypress Island was totally lit up with sunshine after days of fog up here. I didn't know what to do with it. You can relate, can't you, Jill?
Not here.
No, no, you still have it. And Paula's in Jacksonville. Yes, the next few weeks will be bigger, busy ones. Normally, Cousin Russ and I would stop doing Mondays with Myrt about the middle of the month. I'm just stopping a week early because of the wedding. But we will see you in January. And Frost on the Pumpkin, as Mom would say, in San Mateo, California. Hi, Deneen. And Betty Lou's here from the middle of Arkansas. Awesome. And yay for power and internet. May Santa keep it that way for us all. Yeah. Santa's pretty busy this time of year. Glad you made it, Jill. Welcome. Do you want to test your mic so I know it works?
Sure. I think it's on now.
It's working just fine.
Okay, great.
Hillary, what did you ask Santa for?
I've asked Secret Santa on WikiTree. We're running Secret Santa. I've asked them for some help.
Oh, so
Newly discovered family, which I didn't quite type in properly, but
okay.
the ones that I've just discovered via my DNA matches.
That's the cool thing about WikiTree is there's a very concerted effort to have documentation that supports a premise of a family relationship. And yeah, that's cool that you can ask Secret Santa over there to do that. Yes, it would really help if you made a gift suggestion to your favorite elf. Mr. Myrt actually printed out the cover of a book, and somehow it ended up here on my desk. So I have complied. It's a book about the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War. Betty Lou says she would like Christmas Santa to post the church records for this particular place in Italy. Yes. Okay. And what? Oh, you wanted. Are you trying to get into this? Oh, you got in. You already. All right. So all bets are off. You got what you wanted. You're.
I'm good for the year.
Who's the course coordinator for that board for certification course?
I'm not sure. Oh, there's two courses, and Margaret Fortier and Mary Roddy are teaching about writing for publication.
Which
and then
they would know.
Yeah, they should know. And then Patty Hobbs has a section on.
Well, she knows her. She knows her.
She knows her stuff
too.
so well. Yeah, I really enjoy those BCG Putting Skills to Work course. It's in person only. It's not recorded, and it's associated with the NGS conference in Louisville.
Okay, cool. So is that like the day before or something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
But this time they usually have the registration commingled with the BCG with the NGS conference registration. But this time they actually separated it.
Well, and they used to do that with the Librarians Day and things like that. So it's okay. It all works. It's always fun to rub shoulders with other genealogists because you learn something every time. But that's way cool. Glad you got in. So Dan, you want some more family names to come to your attention, huh? Anything on the docket you're working on? Any surnames or localities?
Well, I was just kind of commenting on what Hillary was saying. I think, when she talked about her new family, you could just tell how, you could see the look of thrill in her eyes. It's something I've been through as well in my own research is, finding lines that, nobody knew existed. And, being the first person to kind of piece it all together, I think is, such a thrill. And I just wanted to comment on that.
Yahoo, wahoo, very cool. Absolutely get that.
I think that it also really points out that what we do is original research. So we have, I mean, nobody else has done it before, and we are doing original research, and this kind of scientific approach to history is to me very, very interesting and exciting.
That's what we do. And it's important that we do that kind of research. Okay. And then, hi, Gwen. She got a new furnace for Christmas. That's kind of a necessary thing. She's kind of by you, Randy. She's in North San Diego County. So, and then also Gwen says would like to connect with her living Ohio cousins for Christmas. She's already sent them a card, the Malcolm family. That's good. It really is. All right. So I want to tell you what I'm planning for next year. And we are going to we're just trying to formulate what to call it. I was going to call it a bonus round. And Sherry said, let's call it a book club. And I like that idea. In the past, we've done very extensive study groups where we took a chapter of a book, like Mastering Genealogical Proof, and we zeroed in on it and spent sometimes 2 weeks on a chapter. One time we had to spend 3 weeks on a chapter because we ran into challenges that needed to be discussed. And I don't have that kind of time to do a 90-minute class every week, plus all the outside time of correcting everybody's homework. And I think Sherry hit the nail on the head by giving us an option to think of it as a book club that you could attend. And haven't figured out if it's going to be after Mondays with Myrt, go to Zoom, or after Mondays with Myrt, I'll give you the link, we'll go to another event. But it will be 30 minutes, and the 2 books that I know of so far that we're going to work with are Dr. Jones's Mastering Genealogical Proof. I got to do this. Yeah. And Mastering Genealogical Documentation. Now, one of the advantages of my doing this is that this will wet your whistle for joining some well-established study groups that work in the traditional format. And I'm talking Carrie and Cindy's study groups. There are others where they take a chapter at a time. Now, what will be different, and I will specify this in a blog post and get the word out, is that we won't use, Dr. Jones knows that when I use his books, we expect people to have this book. And in fact, I'm doing 2 giveaways today, one for each book if you don't have it. We're going to do 1 chapter a week, and we're not going to use the examples he has in his book, but we will take perhaps whoever comes will have 5 minutes to say, in chapter 2, he talked about sources usually contain information items, and I was looking at a document for the death date, and I didn't pay attention to that the mother's maiden name happened to be there, kind of a thing, where you take his concept in a sentence and then apply it to your own research and how you've had to incorporate that concept into your research. You learned the hard way, and you missed the mom's maiden name till you looked at that document again later. And my idea is that we will prepare people for taking a more structured study group course that you pay for. In fact, this book I have, it's the other one. To Pat, thanks for all you do in this field. When he autographed my book, that's how favorably he looks on our use of his book. And I'm very excited by that. Yeah, everybody's starting to put in the hashtag. That's very good. And so Valerie is saying, I like the idea as a book club to cover them. Any and all ways to get people to learn from these 2 books. Read, repeat, read, rinse, and repeat. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do. And June, hi, June. She said she liked being part of a study group. That's how we really got to know each other. So when we got to meet at the back east, up there in Boston, we knew who we were hugging. Well, I'm an equal opportunity hugger. Just and then here's something from Ellen. Her new computer arrives today. She's been going through withdrawals. So I don't know how you got online, maybe your phone. Thank you for being there on the YouTube side. Yes. Oh, and then here's June's wish for Santa to bring her an exciting, a new family line Oh, she's referring to that, like a new great-grandparent set through DNA research. Yeah, combining DNA with the paper trail. Let's see if there's any other feedback. Karen would like to be a part of this, and I welcome you to that. So I just have to do a little bit more thinking. Did you want to say something, Jill?
I just wanted to ask a question. Are you thinking that it will be concurrent with the Mondays at Myrt, or
Yeah,
are
I'll
you
just
thinking
do it
this
on
will be
Monday.
something different?
I could do it after, from like after Mondays with Myrt, but go to a different room, go to a different space. So
you're still thinking that through, is basically.
Yeah. We haven't quite worked out. But my regular Mondays with Myrt panelists are not expected to be there. I don't expect you to be here. I'm happy when you're here and have something to contribute, because you all make the show. You put the content in, and you're generous in sharing that. Yeah, so I'll do a little bit more thinking about it and figure out something. And feedback from panelists who know. I mean, I figure I've already blocked out the whole morning anyway. I think it needs to be right afterwards, and I can give the link to join the new one in the live, and people can just switch over. That's probably what I'll do. It's just a matter of, I really like StreamYard, but StreamYard only lets me have 12 people in the wings and 10 people up on the screen at a time. And over on YouTube, yeah. So let's zoom in on you for a little minute. I'm going to let's put everyone else but Jill down, and let's put them in the wings if you wouldn't mind, because I want you to show what's a good idea there. Yeah. In fact, I'm doing this with, okay, hold it up so we can see it.
Okay. So what I do with all of the NGS books, and there's documentation in this one and the law, is I take it to my printer and had them put a coil bind on it. And that then allows me to lay it flat rather than it flipping around all the time. And that makes it much easier to handle, I think. Now, the downside, pardon?
About how much did it run you? Of course, it was probably a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I don't know. It wasn't that much, actually.
Yeah, but it was worth the effort. Yeah.
It was worth the effort. The downside, and there is one downside, is when you have it vertically in your bookshelf, you can't see the name.
Which one it is.
Which one it is.
Yeah.
And so I've just learned that my smallest one is proof, my thickest one is documentation, and then the law is the one I don't use as much. Yeah. So I've just kind of memorized which one is which.
Yeah, the genealogy and the law study group was, we had the book that wasn't it Kay Froelich and her husband who did, I can't remember, I think so. We ended up, that was a very powerful study group. I'm going to make a note to put that live, because what happened in that study group was that each panelist and they were in panel, they were regular panelists. We met on Wednesdays, I think. They took a different state. So then they got, so that they knew the specifics for that state. And yes, is it Kay that wrote the book?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The fourth one actually is also Blaine and Debbie Parker Wayne's book on genetic genealogy. So there's actually 4.
That one was very closed. We had to, because we had to use those examples. But anyway, Kay gave general things about each topic and mentioned little exceptions, and that each state is different here in the United States. And but we got into the meat of it because the panelists' feedback and what they brought in the way of their homework was, well, in Arkansas, they do it this way. Right. And over here in Texas is a whole nother ballgame. And we had Melinda help us with that. Yeah, it's amazing what people bring to the table. Right. Valerie has an answer. She just says, it's usually only about $2 to $4 to get these spiral bound things done. I'm now ordering a book about armchair yoga for balance, because you guys know I use a wheelchair when I go out and a walker at home. And I'm spiral binding it because I can't possibly hold the book and do the exercises and have it flopping and closing. So that's your genealogy tip for today, everybody, from Jill. Thank you, Jill. Okay, so
if it were only so easy.
Yes, boy, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to remind you guys that we are doing, let me share my screen again, that we are in fact doing a giveaway. And so far, 7 of you have typed in the Mondays with Myrt hashtag. You've got to do this hashtag. Doesn't matter upper and lowercase. I just did that for easy reading. And then you can win. I'll be giving away one of the books. You can take your pick. But I want these books in the hands of more people. And okay, so let me bring this back so I don't close the screen like I did last time. All right, what's on our list for today? Okay. Randy, let's have Randy come up, and we are going to talk about his take on the new Family Search Catalog. And I'm going to pull up your blog post on the subject, and we will share that screen. And here we go. Make that full screen. And Jill will let you go to the wings. Thank you. So for a long time, we've been hearing that there's a new catalog coming. And it frustrated us because they're adding new things, but not to the old catalog per se. So tell me what you know. Whoops. Well, on this topic, Randy.
We've heard about a new catalog, and it turns out that they froze the current catalog back in 2022.
Yes.
So it's been 2 years without anything added to the new to the catalog. And James Tanner, in the last couple of weeks, 2 months now, has posted a couple of blog posts about it. And so I wrote a blog post about it, went and investigated it. And so we were aware of the old catalog, in which you can search for places and surnames and keywords and whatever, right? The new catalog apparently is going to be different from that. And when you search for a place, then you got a list of the catalog entries for that place in an alphabetical order by record type. Okay.
Okay.
Books, probate, land, whatever, you know.
Right.
And right now, and then Family Search had an article called "What's New with the Family Search Catalog," and that article noted that the most noticeable change is that the catalog uses the newest Family Search place standards. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing with my place names. But if you scroll down some more, we can get through this quickly, I hope.
Yes.
And so James, in his first article, said, "Hey, there's a new catalog," and had a link to it. And so here is the image of that new catalog as it comes up. And my blog post has a number of investigations of how this might work. I put in the big search entry at the top of the.
I'll go to the next graphic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So.
No, it's great.
So there's the page, and so I put in Albany County, New York, because I wanted to look for probate records and land records there for my Wickman family. And so it came up with this. Now, That is new books. Okay. The list there is new books, and they're all truncated, and it's hard to figure out what they are. Obviously, you can click on it. And then there's under that subject heading, there are a number of things you can search for. And I look for subject, I think.
Yes, this is subject.
Yeah. And I don't remember what the next thing is. So click.
Okay, well, let me just mention here the other things on the drop-down list. If somebody's on a laptop, I'll read it because it's hard for you. Well, I could make it all one. It's keyword or title or start of title or series or author. In this case, you had highlighted subject, call number, and advanced search. Okay, now we'll go to the next one. Okay, this is starting to look like OCLC, isn't it?
Yeah. So I got 5 matches when I searched for Albany County, New York. But wait, there's more. And
gosh.
Yeah, and
that's
so
a lot of stuff on the page.
And there's a lot of links there. Okay,
Yeah.
You're in the all results. 782 links for Albany County, New York now. And they're broken up into available at the Family Search Library, 703 of them, and available online, 350.
Yeah.
Now, here I did something else. I don't remember what it was. Deeds, I think. Deeds and probate.
Yeah, here's deeds.
Yeah. So, but you only get 40 of these per page on the internet. Okay.
Okay.
So with 782, that's like 20 pages of stuff to look through. And it's not all, and it's semi-random what is presented, you know?
I do see, it looks like you're in list mode because it looks like that one's pushed in.
Yeah. There's more links there. There's links down in the colored section for each item of online content, available online, access online. The access online works. The other two don't right now. But if you're frustrated and can't find something in the old catalog, here's an opportunity. Maybe the new catalog has it. They are still creating content and adding it to images and adding it to full text search, etc. So there's a lot going on at Family Search, and it's all kind of behind the scenes right now, but we're going to have the benefit of it.
And we're going to have to get used to it. We're going to have to get used to it.
Discussion on Facebook about, well, I don't like how it's organized. You know, well, that's too bad. They're going to do what they do. And we're going to have to adapt to it.
I always did like that in the original catalog they added on the right navigation or the right side of the screen a link to the OCLC so you could look for a title there, and also to the what is the archives? I can't remember. Geez, see if I have it.
Archive grid.
Oh yeah, archive grid. Here it is. Here's the. Now we're live on Family Search, whereas I was live on your website. Yeah, they had the WorldCat, OCLC, and then archive grid. I liked that. This was short and sweet, and it even included the image group number, which is something we're using more now than the film, fiche, or call number for books, film or fiche. This is I can see why people get frustrated. But let me go back this way just a second. Let me go back to your post to this group. Okay. Well, I want to actually get to your blog post. All right. I'll go up here. Sorry. The reason I wanted to do this. Wait, unless I click on it, it's hard to see. I know people that when they are doing serious research, they like to print out a list of all of the resources available that cover the time period in question. And I don't see a place to tag or tap or include, pick, or I think it's more like tag. We used to be able to put them in a hopper so that we could then theoretically print our list and check it off as we went through it. This happens particularly with people that are like me. They're older. We've transitioned and do very well with technology, but we don't want to lose the things that would have been on page 20 if we tried to print this out. It'd be more than 20 pages because it isn't one line per entry. So I hope they add that back in. I don't see that. I haven't seen it when I've used the new catalog. But on the other hand, it's being developed, isn't it?
It takes time.
His head. It does take time.
And they have to idiot-proof
it. Yes, for people like
I have
me.
so much problem with it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I would like to hear from people out there, other members of the panel, perhaps, that have tried to use the catalog. By the way, did James Tanner give us any estimate? Did they bring the old stuff over to the new catalog and try to incorporate it, or is it coming over in batches? I know the new stuff is going in. We don't know the answer. Okay.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know that James has any idea at this point. I get the sense he's not talking to them much anymore.
Yeah. Sherry's thinking that it might be under the search tools button. I didn't find that there, but the last time Gordon found it. Mr. Myrt to the rescue. He sees add to list for each, and I must be totally missing that. But then I probably looked at an earlier iteration. It was like the weekend before last Monday. How's that? Mm-hmm. In prep for this discussion, I tried it knowing that we were going to be discussing it on Monday. I didn't see that in what was getting pushed out to me from Family Search. So I'm glad. Here's the question. Yes, we can use the old catalog still. But remember what Randy said? If you can't find something there, use the new catalog. Because 2 years is a long time. And they are adding, how many millions of new records weekly? They no longer have to wait at all their scanning points throughout the world for a hard drive to get mailed to Salt Lake City. It's all done through the internet. And within a day or two, it's up. Valerie's wondering if Roots Tech is going to be the big formal announcement and demo of it. That's highly likely. And Gordon is saying, look at the screen, honey. It says add to list right here. Let me pull that up. I'm glad one of us is awake. It says add to list right here toward the bottom. More info, add to list, share, and you can do it by email, Twitter. I really need to get off of that, folks. Facebook or Pinterest. Geez, that's kind of odd, but I digress. Maria was saying she's just typing in the same thing. Jill, come on up and talk to me and tell me what you said in the private chat about this.
Sure. So I just did 2 tests on it because I hadn't known that this was available. So thank you, Randy, a whole lot. This is great. Yes. So I just did 2 tests on 2 of my problem records that I'm trying at. One was a book that they said was in the vault, and then it said not available. So I was concerned. I was thinking and hoping, crossing my fingers, that it was now available on in the catalog. And unfortunately, it has it in the catalog, in the new catalog. That's great. It shows it as being available. It shows it being available digitally. And then when you go to it, it says not available.
Okay, so you know what that means.
Well,
it can mean this.
Okay.
It can mean that somebody is looking at that exact book at the library right now, that they've got one copy. So only one person in the whole world can look at it.
But it said it had it available digitally. So I was a little interested in that. Yeah, so I'm going to be going to Salt Lake City for Roots Tech. So I'm going to check the book and see what the deal is, you know.
Let's have a Kodak moment. We're going to be there.
So then my second test is for records in Germany for Oberglein. Oberglein started out with an index about 4 years ago, had an index but no images. Then it went to no index and images.
Okay.
Then it went to neither. Ooh. So I was hoping that it would show up here in the new catalog, and it does not.
Not yet. Okay.
So it's still not available. So that's another test I just ran just to see whether or not they'd worked out the copyright issues, because that seems to be what the issue was.
Yeah.
I have all the information, but it is a record set I followed over years, and it has changed. And so it's kind of interesting to see how it has changed over time.
Yeah. If a record set had gone through the family search indexing process, the index is supposed to be available forever. The images, as we learned with West Virginia marriage and something else in West Virginia, the family search could only have the images that they scanned for them. When they scan, family search keeps a copy as long as and makes it available online as for the duration of the agreement. And if it was 5 years, typically. But they also, at the same time that they do that scanning, they give a copy to the archive or church in question.
The owner, right.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure why Oberglein goes through this, but the good news is I first got it from the index, so I had that information. Then I got the copies of the original when I went to Salt Lake City, and then I downloaded them again when they were online. Now neither is available, so I'm not sure what all happened, but those are my two tests because they're my problem children. I haven't done tests of what I would call just regular stuff.
Yeah. Let me take your first example and illustrate it a different way. Where there was a book. They've taken books off the shelf at the Family History Library. In fact, the Family History Library looks very different because there are fewer and fewer books. Well, only one person can look at a book at a time. Well, in the olden days, remember when we used to have genealogy CDs? And those, you'd have to go to a special room and check them out. And you had to give them your driver's license or something like that, if I recall correctly. It's been that long. And then nobody could use it except you. And you would then go to a computer and use it. And then you'd bring it back, and then somebody else could use it. Well, they can manage that use of a book just like they did a CD when it's online. And I'm very excited that book is just not available at the moment. I don't know, it could be unavailable for a different reason, but once this thing gets rolling along, that will be the reason you can't look at it at that point in time. Unless it's one of those where we've seen entire record collections that are only available at the Family History Library or at a family search library somewhere else in the world, 4,000 plus, or in my home because I happen to be LDS And we can always arrange that for you, Jill, if you need. Again, I can joke. We're friends, you know. I don't put any pressure on anybody. Yeah. So there are.
This is a pretty obscure book. So it's a
weird. Yeah.
It's a French. It's in French. It's a family collection of one family out of France and into Canada. So it's pretty obscure.
Yeah, but I wish they'd let you know who checked it out before, so that you could communicate with them. That's a
right.
That's a collateral.
Well, the other thing is that I'm 8 miles away from the Northwest University in Kirkland, Washington, and they have a copy.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. University of Washington does not have a copy, but Northwest University does.
Over in Kirkland.
Yeah.
So then you just have to deal with the 520
that's
construction that's going on.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. All right. Let's see what we got going on the YouTube side. Let's bring Dan up so we can bring his comment up. And Marion is thanking you, Randy. This is a very meaty discussion and something we need to get prepared for. And Hillary says, I love that you have images for the books. I can recognize some of them that I have on my own bookshelf just from your sample, Randy. And Valerie also says, thank you for bringing this to our attention. You are a genea angel. Holiday break for her is going to equal learn how to use the new family search catalog. Of course, you know it's going to be revised, but be sure to look at everything on the screen, which I did not. I can't talk and look on the screen at the same time. Sweetheart, thank you for pointing out, add to list. All right. Dan, you had a comment about the family search catalog. Talk to me for the recording.
Yeah, I think the family search catalog is such a valuable resource, and I don't think it gets utilized enough by new researchers. I think there's a certain level of intimidation or a certain learning curve that the family search catalog requires. So anything that they can do to improve their user experience or their kind of approachability, I think will be really beneficial.
The fact that it kind of looks like OCLC is puts it at an academic level of compare and contrast, apples and apples, because it looks alike. But remember, Mondays with Myrt is for beginners, and I do think beginners would be flummoxed with this view versus the other view. Let me this view versus that view. But I think what Family Search is trying to do, and of course, I'm just guessing, I think they're trying to overcome a lot of beginners think of Family Search as that one tree with all kinds of mistakes, like how my Uncle Jack got killed off so many times for like 15, 16 years. He actually did pass, but because there's another researcher who confuses him with another Jack player. And by showing, the real strength of Family Search the Family Search website is the humongous collection of digital images of documents that could prove or disprove our family relationships from all over the world. I think it's like 120 countries from throughout the world are represented. And one new thing that the new catalog will do, they gave an example somewhere on a blog post that if you type in for a collection on China or a collection that would be of records from Italy, you have the option to view in English and that language. Chinese, can you imagine? Or Italian. That would be just for you, Betty Lou, over there in Arkansas. That kind of work takes a lot of effort to accomplish. And I think it's expedited by the fact that there are a lot of missionaries. Family Search is it's an arm, a subsidiary, or whatever you want to call it, of the LDS Church, and they send missionaries all over the world who learn the language. So when we have our annual conferences broadcast, they are immediately translated by live translators in a booth. They're in a soundproof booth. Yeah, they have the original script for a talk, but when the guy ad-libs or the gal ad-libs, usually it's gray-haired white guys. I can say that. I'm married to one. When the guy ad-libs, that interpreter can handle it because they are that experienced with the language. And so those RMs, I was going to say, that's return missionaries, are used in that manner. I don't know if they're paid or if it is their service calling. I don't know, but it really benefits all of us genealogists. It's very good. All right, what have we got? Another comment. Yeah, let's bring everybody up on the screen, Randy, since you can do that. Because I noticed that our guy in Ireland has joined us. And you will recall, well, he's bringing everybody up. Among the things that you can share these entries, you could just email yourself that entry that you want to remember to read or to study or to get into. But I was a little concerned about the limitation of the social media. You can tell, Daniel, I'm segueing to you. The social media resources are X, formerly known as Twitter, and it's still using the Twitter bird, Facebook, and Pinterest. And I don't think I think Instagram is far more realistic, and Threads, and a new kid on the block. Let us talk with Daniel. Yay, Daniel! How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to finally be back. It's been so long.
Well, school does kind of interfere with life. I understand.
Yeah, only slightly, of course. Couple of hours here, a couple of hours there.
Yeah,
What's a few days?
I want to give you all a little background. When I was in the midst of Mr. Myrt's care, Daniel archived my old blog posts and almost all of my YouTube channel videos he was able to download. There are a few that were elsewhere that I've since figured out where they are, and I'm gradually releasing them. And so I am going to release the study group sessions that were regarding the books that we're planning to do for our book club, Master Genealogical Proof. So Daniel has had a big impact in helping old Myrt get back up on the horse. Thank you. And also, I want to compliment you, Daniel, because I saw photos of you teaching genealogy to your fellow, what we call post-secondary or university or college level compatriots. Tell us what context you did that. In what context?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, so that was part of my culture and heritage studies, because I graduated that as of September, and the lecturer who I was who taught me for most of the year had told me at the graduation due afterwards and said, look, we're rejigging some of the way that we're teaching the course, so we're changing out the folklore project that we usually do and substituting that back in for the genealogy one. And obviously, because I had been absolutely crazy during the year and jumped at any point to try and do genealogy with people, because I used to go in every Tuesday, which is my off day, and I used to do genealogy from 9 till 3 and just do it with just anyone in the college, and it was quite popular in the end. And to just be able to do that was fun. And instead, doing the folklore project that my lecturer planned to do, he changed up for a genealogy project and essentially asked, would I be interested in coming back as a guest speaker sometime in
Yes.
the coming year?
Yes.
So yeah, it did happen. And yeah, there was, I think,
Awesome.
30 odd people. So for a first time as a guest lecturer, that was, or a guest speaker, really, not really a guest
Mhm.
lecturer, but kind of a guest speaker, that was an interesting experience, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think that that's awesome. I just wanted to congratulate you on that. All right,
Thank
let me
you.
figure out how to get us, okay, back to everybody. We're going to speak with Daniel in just a little bit, but Hillary has reminded me that she needs to leave. Do we still have time to talk with you, Hillary? This is my mistake that I segued to Daniel for a bit.
No problem, no problem. I mean, mine is just very short anyway. So
Okay.
my thing starts at 6, and so
All right,
we're
so
a
let me
few
put you
minutes
on.
off.
Yeah, let me put you on solo layout. Are you planning to share your screen or just describe what you've been finding?
Right, right. Now, one of the things I found recently is we previously talked about the fact that I found who one of my great great grandfathers was,
Mm-hmm.
biological one, and I've now discovered who another one was, because he turned out to be the husband of my great great grandmother, who married just 2 years after her son, who is my great grandfather, was born.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my things. And then I've also been doing some blogging for my one name study, and I blogged about some of the people who found themselves on the wrong side of the law, because that was
Mm-hmm.
that was the focus. We had prompts and things that we have for each month, and that was the one for November.
Mm-hmm.
And there were I found a couple of them. One of them was smuggling, and I'm trying to think what the other one was. They were they were probably might be what we class as relatively minor things, but it's amazing what you could be transported for nowadays. So I don't think either of these were actually transported because it were probably too late. But I know some people do get transported for what would nowadays be considered as a fairly minor petty offence rather than a major crime. So,
Well, let's mention a couple of things. First of all, the fact that you had this concept of he was charged with smuggling brings up the point that genealogists don't need to be judgmental when they're doing their research. That, we don't know what kind of surprises, what Pandora's boxes we shall open, but we're just reporting the facts. Some of it, for anything closer than maybe, if our parents are deceased, like mine, and the grandparents are deceased, it's probably okay to say something about my great grandparent. Well, definitely my great grandparents. The one who was, the last two children weren't her husband's. He was in the old soldiers' home with PTSD from the Civil War. So we want to report the facts in our database, but we want to be thoughtful about sharing it so that it won't hurt anybody in our current living generations. The second thing is, well, in your case, let's take the example of transport. There are people who are new to doing UK research and may not understand why people would get transported. What was going on?
in the early part of the 1800s, we had a lot of people, a lot of things were becoming mechanized, and we had some quite a bit of people obviously feeling that they were going to lose their jobs because of a lot of the mechanization and things, and that, and some parts of the country people were quite poorly paid. There were a lot of agricultural workers particularly, and a lot of them actually, there's quite a few of them actually got transported, got sent in a ship to places like Tasmania and that. And basically, if you'd committed certain crimes, you got transported for, could be 7 years, could be for life, but not everybody did. I've got my great one of my great grandfathers, I think he was 3 times great grandfather. He actually ended up on a prison hulk in the harbour, one of the harbours off the south coast of England. And he ended up returning to his family, but he was very, whether that shortened his life, it may have done, because there were very harsh conditions on board the prison hulk. So it's things like that that we need to understand when we're looking at things. It's the background to all these things, because there's actually that long journey over from England to places like Australia, or they even I think they might have transported people to the US at one point as well, but it was mostly Australia when people got transported to.
Yeah, I'm aware of indentures coming to. Okay, so transport to me means Australia, Tasmania, which was another part of the British Empire.
Yeah.
I am aware of indentured. I have an ancestor from someplace in Ireland. Don't ask me where, Daniel. My dad did that research, and I'm not sure. But anyway, and in order to pay for it, wasn't that he made a mistake. He wanted to go to the New World, but he couldn't pay passage. So what they did was make an arrangement to indenture themselves for X number of years, like 7 years, or if it's a younger person till they're 21, something like that. That's a whole area of study. But indenture is not the same as being enslaved. You were constrained to be somewhere, but it wasn't what we think of as the enslavement of people from Africa coming to the islands in the Caribbean, particularly the Eastern Caribbean, and then coming into the colonies. Yeah, Dave has to leave. Okay, Dave, Merry Christmas, safety to you in your travels, and glad that you were here. Thank you for that comment. Yeah. As far as being judgmental, Gwen is saying, to be very honest, I have a problem not being judgmental or even angry when a deceased person who lived in Pennsylvania and was a KKK member. Yeah, I have living African Americans in my tree too. Yes, I understand that. I'm glad that my Gorings came over from a Germanic state near Leipzig, way before they were over in 1848, for the same kind of reason that you're talking about. But if I recognize that, yes, it's very hard to deal with those things, but we can't let our judgments and anger overwhelm our ability to be objective in thinking of alternate record sources and how to keep going on that line. My mother literally said this. She knew, you got my mom and dad, right, who were divorced, which was a blessing, sort of. But anyway, my dad's side were early Mormon pioneers. Like, they joined in England, came over, were in Nauvoo, and went west on, I didn't have handcart, I had ox cart ancestry. And thank you. And my mother's side was in Missouri before the westward trek. And the history of the state of Missouri is such that the governor had an extermination order. He issued an extermination order to get rid of the Mormons. And that's my mother's side of the family. So when it got difficult in the early days of doing research, when you had to do it by envelope, basically, before online and so much was available, she'd say, well, they were just bad people because they were killing other people. And, you can always come up with a reason to give up, but let's not give up. And yeah, I'm very glad you brought that facet of this up, Gwen, and I get what you're saying. Yeah, we don't want to neglect record sets or get stymied and not make progress on that line. Okay, and yes, Shar, thank you for reminding us. That is the giveaway hashtag that you need to put in. Let me see how many people. We've got 10 so far. It's good. All right, back to our discussion. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, yet a lot to talk about here, was the one name study. And they also have one place studies. You're focusing on Rosling's in this blog post. Hillary is. Did she have to leave already? There she is. She had to go. And there are one place studies groups. They have a presence in a blog post and also on Facebook. There's still a heck of a lot of genealogists on Facebook. And a lot of resources are available there for you to make progress in understanding your ancestry. All right, Daniel, now I'll bring you back up. Thanks for helping me and being so patient. So let's talk about social media and where people are going. I've stayed on Twitter, but I'm not on Twitter. I'm just saving my name.
Yeah, that's the same here. That's pretty much what I've done. In terms of, over the past couple of years, social media use for me has changed quite a lot. For example, it's primarily Twitter and Facebook because I could not work Instagram. I still can't. So it's that one's kind of taken a tumble. But when I joined Threads, I was happy with it at the start, and then I was kind of still thrown off by the fact that it was still very heavy with an algorithm. And one of the ones that I did try was called Pebble, but that was a very short one, and it crashed and burned a couple of months into when I used it. But it was my favorite one, and I wasn't sure if I'd actually have one that could replicate it or one that could better it. But at the moment, there's been a big move to Blue Sky for those who were on Twitter, and it's probably, I'd say, the best one out of Twitter alternatives. I have seen some people say, oh, well, I'm not leaving Facebook. It's not intended to be a replacement for Facebook because it's meant to mimic Twitter in the sense that it's short form content. So Twitter being short form content, it's 280 characters. I think it might be 300 characters on Blue Sky. So it's not the, I suppose, biggest thing, but it's honestly easier to keep up with things because you can those who you follow is what you're going to see. So you will see reposts, you will see posts from people who post onto Blue Sky, and the best part is it's all kind of chronological. There aren't any ads, which is my favorite part because every platform I seem to use, every second or third post seems to be an ad. So to kind of have a detox from that in itself is already quite nice. But it actually, one of the, I suppose, unique points for Blue Sky is how easy it is to actually find people on the platform. And actually, it is the starter packs, which is where I have my pinned post. And I currently have 2 starter packs, and I think I'm close to a third one. And it's essentially an easy kind of list of reference, would probably be the best way to put it, in terms of trying to actually find genealogy people that you could, keep up with and follow along with. It's very convenient in trying to find and reconnect with people who, I suppose, have gone to Blue Sky. And I know in the early days of the genealogy community moving on that there was a lot of kind of skepticism about how easy it would be in terms of trying to find, I suppose, any mention of people that you used to follow. So I had done a YouTube video about how to get started on Blue Sky. So if people do want to have a look at that, they can. But no, honestly, I like Blue Sky and I'm there to stay. So it's probably the one place that I'm actually finding quite, I suppose, refreshing in terms of trying to interact with people, because it's not too difficult to, I suppose, you can easily spend time there. It's not too difficult to learn. There might be like some things. So for example, on a profile, whereas if it was Twitter, my username would probably just be at Daniel Loftus or whatever it is. It's a bit different because it does it based on kind of domains in a way. So for example, my former handle was danielloftus.bsky.social, because bsky.social is the domain for Blue Sky, and that is kind of who you're resident under. But in terms of verification on the site goes, it's not like other sites where you have like the blue check mark or the blue tick or some sort of symbol to, I suppose, show that this account is authentic. The method in which they do that on Blue Sky is by verifying the domain. So, for example, my handle now is danielloftus.projectinfant.ie because Project Infant is a domain I own, and if you type into your browser projectinfant.ie, it shows up at the real website. So you know it belongs to me and that the profile is authentic. Now, obviously, that's only if you kind of actually own a domain itself, but most people tend to go under bsky.social and then just choose, I suppose, a handle that they might have used on other ones to kind of keep it consistent.
Yeah, so what Daniel has done, I've shown you what Blue Sky looks like from his project. This is his profile, Project Infant. And there are posts, and right off the bat, he has pinned his advice on how to join the conversation with other genealogists. And I've given you that link and I think, was that you, Randy, who posted the link to Daniel's YouTube video to orient people? Now, the limitation on the number of characters is what bugs me, because I'm a wordy girl. But this is for good, quick communication with people. It'll take a hyperlink if you find something you want to share with other genealogists. To me, I like to keep up with what's going on and what people are doing. And so this is one of several websites, instead of formerly known as Twitter, which is just too political for me. And this is the Blue Sky logo, BLUESKY, but just use the link that we've given you. I still use Facebook because I can write a lengthy post. I can put up to 40 photos if I wanted to in that exact post. The comments are much easier to follow in my estimation. And I also have control over it as the poster. And then we have groups like the DearMYRTLE group over in Facebook. And, sometimes it used to be I only did genealogy things over in DearMYRTLE. And then my personal stuff I did as Pat Richley Erickson. Who is that? Anyway, everybody just calls me Myrt. All right. But when we had the ability to make our group private, I made Dear Myrtle's group private. And since more than 5,000 people subscribe to it, to my Dear Myrtle group, I can't change it back to public. So any posts I make there are not shareable. So sometimes I'll make a post as Pat Richley Erickson and also let it go to Dear Myrtle. So just not as frequent as what you all who belong to Dear Myrtle's Facebook group can see. And let me share the link with that. Let me get it right now. This is the Dear Myrtle group. And here's where I do a thing called curating content. When I find good content somewhere out there on the web or on Facebook or something I read in a blog post somewhere that I want my followers to know about, I will put it in that Dear Myrtle channel or Facebook group. Let me write Dear Myrtle group. Now, a group on Facebook is nice because we have one for Guaymas Island, and so when the ferry goes out or something's going on, or to advertise, like Thursday is Family History Drop-In at the library. During Gordon and I take a library shift. He does the library, I do the drop-in part. Yeah, things like that. Go there. A page on Facebook is more for businesses. And you can respond to a post if I were to make one there. I have one for my journal work that I'm hoping to resume. But you can't post there. You can post on your own wall. And in my group, I've said you could post. But I curate whether or not I let it go forward, except all my panelists and some of my regular. If I don't know you and haven't already pre-approved you, see, I have a lot of control in that group for a discussion. But it's not as closed as it has to come down from the owner of the page. So I agree with you about Blue Sky. It seems much friendlier, easier to use. I also do like Instagram, but it limits the size. And I also like Threads, which is where I went immediately. I tried a couple others, but I liked Threads. And I'm not ready to get rid of Threads yet. So I don't know why. That's just where we are. Now, why do we use social media? Why do we? We're pushing content out, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
We're letting people know what's happening at Project Infant. By the way, what is happening at Project Infant? What is it?
Oh, well, I haven't actually
Short
been
version.
managing to do a short version. Would be not much, because college has taken a lot of time away from me in terms of trying to do anything with it. So a lot of, but hopefully over Christmas I'll be able to do something again. But no, at the moment it's just we're still going in terms of trying to, I suppose, add more children's names onto it. We're still going with research, and we've got some things planned which I hope to kind of share. I don't exactly know when, but in the next while.
Yeah, in the next while, you can have a breakthrough.
Yeah,
it's under negotiation.
Exactly. But no, there's plenty of work to be done, and no, it's going great at the moment, because there was one, I kind of had a research breakthrough, but I'm still kind of working on it, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm there yet, so I don't want to kind of jinx it and then
don't
hope that it goes wrong.
When
so
you're ready, and let us know. So mothers and baby homes in Ireland had a pretty bad reputation, basically. And there were a lot of undocumented grave sites.
Yes.
And you have identified 6,283 children in your database, 52 mothers, 13 institutions, and you have some volunteers that work with you. And I remember when you first set this up, because I joined your Discord, which is where you work with your team. That's a different kind of platform, originally made for gamers, but it works beautifully for the kind of work you want to do.
Oh, it has many applications, yes.
Yeah, many different. It looked a little scary at first for me, but it's just like a message board area and a communication area, and there's other options that have been added since then. And I can't tell you how important it is. This reminds me of what Jill did with the work about her orphans and getting the names out, or the slave narrative projects they did with the Work Projects Administration here in the U.S. in the 30s, and to say the names, and to these people lived and died, and we do not want to lose them. And without being specific, you have a personal interest in this that piqued your curiosity about it. And even government does not always support the work that you're doing. Luckily, social media does, and mainstream media does. And so I'm proud to know you, Daniel. You're the rising generation, just a young whippersnapper compared to this old Myrt. And he knows I love him, so I can pick at him a little bit. Anyway, thank you for telling us about Blue Sky generally and for providing a video to help us get oriented, and that link that we've shared. This means a lot, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just glad to actually be able to show up for a while now.
I know. Of course, this is our last show until January 6th because of the wedding and things like that. Gwen doesn't understand what stacks are. Can you explain what stacks are in a brief thing? This is a technical thing.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Was this about the genealogy starter packs? I'm wondering. Might have been.
Be more specific, Gwen. Just, it's like the first time those of us who are older and PCs began to be a thing, when we had floppy disk drives, and we'd go to a computer club meeting, and then the computer nerds, whatever they said, would just zoom past us. We're like, what the heck? Gwen, you'll get it. You will get it the more you hear about it, etc. I do think we need to change topics, but let him know in the comments, so that, because that may be something you want to tweak a little on your starter pack to explain it. And we want you, Gwen, to be part of that conversation, making that happen. Okay, let's put that hashtag in. I just know we're coming up on 10 minutes to go. Randy, we want to talk about another thing with you. So let's bring Randy up. He's going to be my co-host at the moment. Hillary was earlier. Normally every week you tell us what new collections have been added to Family Search, or modified or removed from Family Search. Excuse me. And also at Ancestry. But you've added something, so tell us why. Oh, I've got the wrong link here. Let me get the other one. So go for it. I'll catch up with you. Just go ahead and start talking. Oh, you're watching the numbers. Here it is. All right. Are you there? I can't hear him. You're muted, dear. That's what's happening.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You probably told us everything. Now tell us again.
It didn't know what it was doing, you know.
I hear you.
So I just put in the chat the link for the for the blog.
I've got it.
Yeah, and it's not on the screen yet.
I'll bring it up.
Well, darn.
Oh, darn. Doesn't exist.
Oh,
So what are we looking at? New full text?
it's on mine.
Full dash text?
Yeah. Well, full text search is adding material every day, it seems. The last time I checked, last Tuesday,
Yes.
There were 2,200 collections, and that was up 38% over last week, the week before.
Wow.
Over 715 million results, which means I think images of documents, and that was up 8.5%, and over 662 million for the USA, etc. So it's growing leaps and bounds. And then Family Search Images has over 5 billion images on it. And I'm keeping a count on that too. So
remember when it was just like probate or something like that? And deeds, but only for a limited area. And I'm clicking. Am I locked up?
You are not moving. Yeah, you're talking. We hear you.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't like that that's what you're seeing there. Yeah, I'm definitely locking up. So you guys keep talking. If I disappear, I will be back. I can't click on anything. So my internet is definitely, I don't know what's going on. It's locked up. Okay. Let me ask you then, Randy, I'm going to go out and come back in, and I'll be right back. You just keep talking. Pull panelists up, do whatever you need to do. I will see you on the flip side, okay?
Okay, maybe we can talk about the tips. We wanted to talk about tips, didn't we?
Okay.
So let's add people here. And so if, so Maria, I don't know how to just bring up one person.
Okay.
Maria, what tip do you have for everybody?
The best tip I could say, and this is because I've made the mistake, keep a research log and tighten up your source citations. I have to practice that every day because I'm not good at either one, but that's what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Liv, what's your tip?
It's to not only use the transcribed records, but use the original records and note down everything that is there, because it will be helpful one day or another.
Okay, thank you. Dan, the tip?
My tip might be in the same vein as yours, Randy, but I think it's really important to start to just mess around with, I think is the best way to put it, with AI. And just if you're not comfortable with it, if you've never used it, just kind of starting with, basic queries and kind of getting used to it, I think is going to be one of the most valuable things in genealogy. And never taking AI as its word. You want to come up with things and questions and projects that are appropriate for using AI with, things that can help you generate leads, refine leads, but it's never going to give you, 100% accurate answer, but it can help you kind of refine your leads and really kind of hone in on where you want to focus your research.
Good, thank you. Jill.
So my tip would be that if you have a problem ancestor that you can't figure out, write it up. Write up just that person, hyper-focused, gather all the information together that you have on that person. And sometimes you'll actually see that you have the answer, you just didn't know it because it was lost in the woods, if you will. So my tip is to write things up, even as just I do personal research reports and they kind of look all the same, but that's just how I do them. But I think any way we can write up things is a real advantage. And I think everybody else's tips were great. So that's good.
Thank you. Daniel, you have a tip for us?
I suppose it would be, using social media. I know it sounds so cliche, but honestly, asking for help and actually, I suppose, accepting that, you don't know everything. I don't know everything. So when I need help, I go to Facebook, I go to Blue Sky, and I post a query, and I tend to get help. So, and if you see someone who does need help, boost it, share it with others, and they might be able to help weigh in on things. Social media can help.
Excellent. Myrt, you're back.
I'm back. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't click or anything. I had to do the Control-Alt-Delete.
Wow.
But those of you on the YouTube side appreciate how wonderful these panelists are with great ideas. And thank you for taking over hosting. It was smooth, really good. We do have contingency plans for if old Myrt's internet does its thing. Anyway, I am kind of dressed for the season. And I wanted for our final segment to be talking with Liv about traditions in Norway at this time of year. And it's Advent. And I was just, let me share the screen here. I was so taken by this post. It's your postage stamp from last year. Talk to us about this.
Yes. So Advent is a word and a period in Norway. We talk a lot about it, and the word is used in conjunction with other words, adventskrans, adventslys, and so on. But this stamp is also very meaningful for me because it's from the area that I research most of all. Oppdal, and the guy who designed this stamp, he has got the same last name as my great grandfather. I don't know if he's from the same farm or from the farm next door. And he did 2 stamps that year, one of this church and another of a church in northern Norway where a famous hymn
hymn
writer came from.
Songwriter or musician.
Yeah, Alstahaug.
Yes.
Yes, and in the middle you could see a calendar which was embroidered by my mother.
I have been the recipient of some of your mother's very prolific embroidery. Thank you. And
So you can see the small rings there. We had a bell which we moved one step at a time each day, and that's not enough for the kids today. They get gifts every day. We had the chance to move the bell.
And what we're focusing on between you and me and Mr. Myrt is the Christian Christmas, the celebrating the birth of Christ. And I love old traditions and pulling them in. In fact, the nativity set that we set up is a little one that Gordon's mother made, and they're all white figurines and very tiny. And having that and setting it up is a very important part of our of our traditions. And we have it at a place where even when the little redheaded girl, who's not so little redhead, well, she is redheaded still, but not so little, even when she was little, she could pick up and touch them if we were there, even when she was 3. But we were very careful. It was a special thing. And I do recognize that this is what I think of Norway in the winter, this kind of, long nights and the drifting snow and snow coming down. I was just quite taken by this blog post. Did we share that link with the group while I was in and out?
So in winter we have what we call the blue hour, when the sun sets, and it's like on the stamp there. It's just a beautiful time of day, and it's even more beautiful when we have snow, because the snow lightens everything.
The snow, there is a light, it reflects whatever light comes from the moon, etc. I think of you more now. Well, I love all my panelists, but now that we live so much farther north, by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it is dark. And we have to remember to turn on our porch lights, because Amazon still delivers till about 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. The last ferry is 8-ish, depending. And I think, we don't have snow. We will get a dusting of snow several times a year, so we don't have that element. But we have had fog, and both and Jill, who lives south of me, and the gal that lives in Arlington, we've had really foggy days that make it very quiet, very, very quiet.
Yeah, it does.
And especially like the first snow, and it's not piled up at the edge of parking lots at the grocery store. It's just fresh white snow. It's not dirty. It's quiet. It's a very peaceful thing. And I've had to look at fog that way lately. Anything else you want to say before I talk about other religions?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for presenting.
I think it's significant that this is what you shared with me. And in the past, when we have discussed doing research in Norway, it isn't like people are particularly religious, going to church absolutely every week in Norway, but we do hearken back to traditions with our family, what our parents did, what our grandparents did. And I would like to mention that we here at Mondays with Myrt welcome everyone. And I recognize that the beautiful parts of your culture, Mr. Myrt's 50% of his bloodline is Norwegian, a little bit less Swedish, and then like 1% Neanderthal, which counts because, anyway, we respect all, and I enjoy discussing different cultural aspects for Hanukkah, which actually Hanukkah this year starts on the 25th of December, our Christmas day. And then there's Kwanzaa. There's all kinds of wonderful traditions, new and old. I've got a grandson getting married a week from tomorrow. Sheesh, that's the second of the grandchildren to get married. And they will form a little family and take traditions from both sides of the family. And I've loved seeing how my daughters meshed traditions from both sides of the family. And occasionally I hear them say about the same thing I said to them in the discipline department. Things along that line. Life can be very interesting. I know it's very disjointed with some of the political things happening, not just in the United States, but throughout other countries of the world. And I think the thing that I really like about Mondays with Myrt is we can get together and enjoy each other's company, encourage each other, and applaud the cultural heritage that is yours. In this case, Leif, the way that you all in Norway celebrate Advent, and it's all very good. I do have a couple of more things. I want to pivot just a little bit and remind you about two new things that have been going on before we go. This is the quick lightning round, and I am paying attention, Maria. I know I'm running over, but I don't get to see people for a while. You are going to want to, let me give you the link to this post over in the Dear Myrtle group. There you go. Whoops. And then I've got to remember to do the, copy link, save link, copy link address. There we go. I'm going to do the giveaway. Oh my gosh. What a long thing that is. Let's see if I did it right. Oh. Try it again. Oh my gosh. It's too big of a post. Come to the group here. I'll click the share button. And give you that link. That'll be easier because boy, that's a really long URL and it doesn't fit. The other thing I'd like to point out is that finally, those of you who have Portuguese research to do, Michael Hall has been working on this book forever. And you may recall he worked for FamilySearch.org for a number of years. And he has worked with Al and Lauren and, of course, Rhonda McClure. This is available through HistGen. And let me give you that link. It'll work. It's not too big. There you go. All right. And are we ready to? Oh, I just have this. Be sure that you type in the hashtag Mondays with Myrt, and we will see who wins. Are there any laggers that have not typed in hashtag Mondays with Myrt? First drawing is going to be for Mastering Genealogical Proof. This is one of the two books I've identified so far that we will be doing our book club with next year. There'll be certain guidelines so that we can observe copyright. And it will be a way to link between freefall with research and pushing you toward taking your first genealogy course, perhaps from Cindy Engel, who teaches Mastering Genealogical Proof. Okay, are we ready for the drawing? Okay, I'm going to hit the button here. Ooh. Karen, she wanted to join the group, so she won. All right, so Karen, you've won Mastering Genealogical Proof. Do you already have that? And would you rather have the documentation book? Karen, Kontrath. Yay. Let me know. She may have already left. Let me know. We have to type in DearMYRTLE@gmail.com. All right. Now we're going to do one more drawing. I held up Mastering Documentation. That's what we're doing next. You need to let me know, Karen. I have no way of contacting you, you have to contact me. I don't know your email addresses. Okay, we're going to draw again, this time for Mastering Genealogical Documentation. And Karen Harrison won it. Okay, Karen, we've got two Karens here. So the first Karen wants documentation, but you have to write to me there, DearMYRTLE@gmail.com. And then Karen Harrison, if you would like documentation or proof, let me know which one. Yeah, two Karens won today. Let's see, Harrison. All right. And I need to know your, when you write to me, I'm going to need to know your email address, your, and I will give you the book format, not the Kindle version. It's a little more expensive, but it's really a lot easier to put sticky notes in it like I've done here. It's a total mess of sticky notes. Okay, I'm not hearing from the other Karen. Oh, good. It is a lucky name today. Karen, do you already have one or the other of these two books? Let me know. Yes. Maria says, please hit the like button. That does help me. Those of you on the YouTube side, if you click the like button and also then click it and set the notifications. And oh, Karen doesn't have it. So be sure and tell me whether you want the documentation or the proof one. And I will send it to you. But I need your address. I also need your telephone number. I'm not planning to share it with anybody other than my remote offices at Amazon. All right. Oh, folks, here we are at the end of another year. I am so happy to be your host. There's nothing left to say, but thank you to all of our panelists who come and go when they have time to visit with us. It's been a joy and an honor to re-up, and hard for me to do this without Russ, but to see how each of you have stepped up and you can take over when I get locked up and stuff like that. It's just awesome. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, happy time with your family. And we will see you in the new year. Happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap. Hi, Diane Bush.